This is the 91st minute.
2 goals in the space of 7 minutes saw Arsenal steal a 2-2 draw from Chelsea in the Premier League, making Mauricio Pochettino and Mikel Arteta's first managerial meeting one to remember. In the pouring rain at Stamford Bridge, both teams came out unscathed following early mishaps as Enzo Fernandez fired off target after Zinchenko had misplaced a pass before Arsenal failed to capitalize on Levi Colwell's miskick on the edge of his own box. Wow, this one, I wasn't able to watch live, but I watched it back yesterday, actually. I watched Match of the Day, and I thought it was a pretty good game. I thought it was actually entertaining. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Arsenal's game there?
I thought it was a decent game, yeah, as well. There's some controversy, which I'm sure we'll get to in the next few minutes, but overall performance, I thought Arsenal were very average. Maybe some international travel and game hangover in there for some players. Obviously, we know we've got some players that aren't fully fit. They're, Saka, Martinelli still not probably 100%. But I thought the lineup was decent. Jorginho getting the nod, I thought that was interesting. Obviously, Havertz on the bench. One of them was bound to play. I thought it would have been Havertz from the off, personally. But he went with Jorginho. Obviously, Partey on the bench, actually. So he's coming back from injury, which will be a decent player to have coming back. But yeah, I thought Arsenal were really average in the first half. It was quite frustrating for me. I felt like the international break just took any sort of steam that we built up by beating City was just instantly taken away. You know what I mean? So having to wait and then play that game at the Bridge, like a lot of people talk about Chelsea being like it should be an easy win. I never felt like that. I mean, a London derby, I don't think any of the London derbies are particularly an easy game. It's pretty rare to have like just a fully one-sided London derby. But I think Chelsea, with that squad and that manager, to expect them to just continue to be poor is a mistake, I think. And I think there are other clubs that are going to find that out against them. That's not to say that they're going to go on an amazing run and contend for the title, because I don't see that. But I do think they're going to get better and better. They just the players they have and the manager they have are too good to sort of be down in the doldrums for too long. But yeah, I mean, credit to Chelsea for one thing I thought they were doing in the first half particularly was they were really very physical. I thought they really brought the physicality. Lots of nipping at the heels. I thought they got away with a few things in that first half, and that then led to later on, I felt like they got away with even more as the game went on. A lot of talk about the Cole Palmer tackle. For me, that was a yellow. What do you think? I think
the
any
one on
higher,
Jesus?
and it would. Yeah.
That was a questionable one.
I think any higher, it would have been a red. Like, if his foot had come in any higher, like on the ankle, but because of where his foot went, I felt like a yellow was probably the right call.
Yeah, I think that's the I think that's what they look at, right? Where it made contact, because any studs up on that like that on the shin or anywhere on the leg usually is a red card. But it was right on the ankle kind of. It wasn't. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it wasn't high enough. It was pretty early in the game as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
That
was.
always makes me think. Like when it's early in the game, it makes me think like, does the ref want to do this right now?
Sometimes they don't, right? Sometimes they don't want to spoil the game, so to speak. I mean, look, if it's unquestionable, then I like to believe that you'd see a red. But looking at the replay, I watched that replay a few times, and I just felt like even an inch higher, maybe it might have been a red. But I obviously have no idea what their cutoff is for that. But still not the worst decision in the game. And we'll get to that. I mean, the penalty obviously Chelsea took the lead, a penalty which Cole Palmer scored, a handball for Saliba, a close range header from Mudryk hits Saliba's hand. Now, I agree with most of the pundits that have spoken out about it. Should it be a penalty? In my opinion, no. Is it a penalty by today's rules? It's something we've talked about on the show so many times now. It is a penalty by today's rule.
Yeah.
I assume you feel the same.
Yeah, it is, what I hear the pundits say is, when I go up to jump, my arms naturally go up, to kind of lift your body up or whatever, right?
What I thought about interesting that if you watch it back as well, Mudryk's arms are also up because he's jumping. So it kind of proves the point. But yes.
I guess the question is so in the NBA, right? I'm obviously from American sports, and that's probably why I don't really mind strict refereeing calls, because I was raised on this new NBA kind of era where it's all about if you get your feet in position first, as a defensive player, a lot of times you see someone who's driving in towards the hoop hit a player, and sometimes it's called a charge, right? That's an offensive foul.
But
or sometimes it's called blocking.
They have to be in position, yeah, exactly.
And that's the key, right? Does the defender have his feet planted? Is he outside the box, or what that little the half circle, right? So to me it comes down to these fine points of the situation. If Saliba was in a better position, if the ball was perfect right on Mudryk's head, first off, if Saliba was in a better position to attack the header, would his arm have had to be in that sort of, because he was kind of leaning forward as well, right? He was a little behind the play, trying to get his head involved or something.
I mean, at that point as a defender, you're just trying to get some contact on it, right?
Right, but that's my point. At that point, you're behind the play, you're out of position, and you're trying to recover and trying to block the ball. And in that situation, if the ball's good enough and the attacker plays it, the shot was going off target, to be fair. So that's another fine point where you could evolve the rules where if the shot's on target, then it should be a handball if it's a shot or something.
Personally, I don't think that should come into it.
It's just funny because now Mudryk doesn't theoretically Mudryk doesn't even have to aim for the goal. He just has to aim for where flailing arms might be, right? He could he could head it towards the corner flag, but if there's a hand there, it's going to be a penalty. But that's besides the point. Yeah,
we're not seeing consistency with this one. We've talked about it so many times, right? Proximity comes into it. It was very, very close. Even if Saliba realized, which I don't think he did because it all happened in a split second, if he realized and tried to pull his arm out the way at that point, I don't think he would have had time to do so.
Right.
I believe that VAR should be evolved enough, and the team that do that should be evolved enough that they can look at, for me, I would want it to be more NHL-like, whereby if a goal is scored with a kicking motion, the goal is waved off. So what they look for is a clear indication of escape, in a kicking motion towards the puck. So I'd want to see, if I could rewrite the rule, I would want them to look at each incident, and if you're seeing the arm move to block that ball, or you can see them look at the ball sometimes as well and still leave their hand there. I think in an instance where it's 1 to 2 yards apart and that header just goes bang bang, I just find it so, I don't know. I mean, I know what you're saying about positioning and stuff. I don't think, for me, I don't want the defenders to have to play like that. I think as a defender, I don't know, you should be able to throw yourself at it as long as you're not purposely handling the ball, or unintentional handball is I guess what we're talking about in the greater scheme of things. But I just think there's so many more angles that they could look at it at, and he's not cheating in that. That's my thing, right? He's not cheating to stop the ball with his hand. It literally.
But he's trying to recover from being in a bad position to a superior attacking play, right? So it's like what we're doing is we're gonna dumb down attacking so defenders have some advantage now, right? Like, and that doesn't feel right either. Like we're gonna nerf attackers so that defenders have a better chance, right? And that doesn't sit right either. Though I hear what you're saying about, I want the defenders to be able to make a challenge, and the ref should understand that he's just trying to make a fair challenge. He's not intending for it to hit his arm or whatever. But like, to me, that is gonna nerf attacking. And I think, unfortunately or fortunately, like, knowing that the game is going to progress into the future, like for another 10 years, 20 years, and beyond when I'm alive, the game has to keep attacking integrity to keep the game. I don't think people are like, what I personally did play because I played defensively. Like, I saw defenders defend and I was like, that's awesome. Like, I'm pumped, right? But I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, maybe the younger audience, want to see better attackers, right? They want to see people score goals. They want to see people, they want to see penalty kicks, like they not necessarily want to see penalty kicks, but they want to, like, watching that game and seeing that it's 1-0 at whatever 11th minute is a lot better than watching that game at 0-0. Maybe for the neutral. I understand for Arsenal fans, maybe not, but like if you tune into a game and you see it's 1-0 and you see the better team is down, it's like, oh, I'm gonna watch this or something. I'm just saying, the more action, the better. I don't know. And I wouldn't want attacking to be nerfed in any way. I would want attacking to be like Arsene, like he's trying to change the offside rule, right, to create more attacking. Yeah. That's what Arsene wants, and I agree.
Okay, so that's
that
one way.
Attacking.
I think there can be too many penalties with the current handball rules, and I don't think penalties isn't. I don't think, even from a neutral's point of view, I don't think people go to see penalties, right? They want to see attacking play and goals from open play and great shots and great strikes and great plays. Obviously, a penalty is a goal and it adds to the flavor of the match, because if a team's gone 1-0 down, it will have an effect on, how the other team responds, or where the momentum lies, all that good stuff. But yeah, I think it's too easy to win a penalty in football now, personally. That's just my own personal opinion.
It's much easier. It's definitely much easizer, just in general. 100%.
I just think,
especially with the VAR,
it's too easy. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there could be a middle ground. But
the counterpoint to that would be, I think they're becoming too soft on bad defending. Like, to me, from my perspective, from a technical point of view, it's like, oh man, we're letting these defenders get away with murder now, with VAR, when we have VAR.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't see that incident. I don't believe it's because it's Arsenal. I believe I would feel the same way if it was McTominay a yard away from Mudrik's head. I don't feel like in any way I would want that particular play to be a penalty. But it doesn't mean that another one similar wouldn't be, because if I saw a guy who moves his arm into position, I'm going to think, okay, he's trying to use his arm to block that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know where you're coming from, though, and
you're talking about intention. Yeah. But intention is so hard to prove.
Yeah, it is. But with all the cameras on them, I don't think it's impossible. And I think the right people could make the right call.
Like, think of like a counter-attack, right? Like a counter-attack. I don't know who crossed the ball from Mudryk. I don't know, Enzo or something? I don't know.
But like I said, I said it right at the start of this conversation that for me it was a penalty by today's rules. I just said that I don't think it should have been.
Right. No. That's what I'm talking about. Whether it should, like, what I'm trying to think of why it should have been a penalty, right? That's what I'm trying to think of as the counterpoint. Yeah. And what I'm thinking is, think of like a blistering counterattack, right? And Mudryk is ahead, and of Saliba, and Saliba's running as fast as he can because of something that happened earlier in the play, which is out of Saliba's hands, but he's running back as fast as he can to try to cover the play. And Sterling plays a perfect ball, right? Just a point perfect ball. Mudrik's running in stride. Saliba slowly hurrying up. Saliba jumps and goes for the header, but he's already behind the play because the ball has been perfect. Mudrik's run has been perfect. Mudrik heads the ball, and Saliba trying to head the ball, it touches his hand. See, in that situation, we're gonna reward, I guess, defensive effort on getting back into that position, I guess, or like giving the defenders a little extra leeway, and we're gonna hurt good attacking football. I think, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I understand that that's a way to think about it. I guess I just don't. So
I don't naturally think about it, but when people say that shouldn't have been a penalty, I automatically think of how could it have been a penalty? And I try to think of the reasons why it could have been, and that's what comes up, because if you don't, I don't know, I think good attacking should be rewarded more than bad defending should be awarded, you know? Like, you know, see what I'm saying? Like, good action should be rewarded rather than bad actions being rewarded.
But then the counterpoint to that would be, naturally, if Mudrik's header was going wide anyway, then it was a bad attacking finishing header, and he shouldn't get rewarded for that.
And that's the first thing I said. That's the first thing I said. That's exactly the first thing I said when we started talking about this, and I was like, that we're getting into other waters now, but like, the counter argument goes to that point, and that's what I was saying earlier. That maybe if the shot's only if it's on target and Saliba's hand unintentionally touches the ball, then it should be a penalty. That's what I was saying. Right, and that would cover both things, right? If it's going off target and it touches his hand, no penalty. That kind of plays for what you're kind of pushing for, and I'm also okay with that because the shot's not on target. But if it's on target and unfortunately and unintentionally Saliba's hand stops it from going towards the net, then it should be a penalty. Do you
give any credence? Because I personally as well, one of the reasons I think proximity is important, because had Mudrik been 6 feet further away when he headed that ball, Saliba may well have had time to literally pull his arm out the way. And that's why I think proximity should come into their judgment call. Because, yes, I guess, again, that's benefit of the doubt to the defender if in that respect. But I'm sure you have as well. We've all played football where at some point or another, you've pulled your arm out the way. You know what I mean? If you see it. If you think it's going to hit your arm. Absolutely.
And that proximity is my reward for being in a better position. Like, having that time to react to the ball is my reward for being in a better position, Like, if I was in a better position, then I would be able to react to it. And if I gave that's, keeping the defender as a defender, keeping your body between the player and the goal, whatever, right? Doing that gives you a better opportunity to react to it. You know what I mean? Like,
I see the point. For me, I don't like the way the new handball rules or the current handball rule is used. That's just my own opinion, though. It means nothing. But
I agree that that's problematic. But for me, I'll say it again: if they just call it strict every time, and we just get that consistency across the board, no one's gonna have a. I mean, people will still have problems with the fact that the proximity and everything, but if they call it across the board, then I don't think people will have as big a problem, because okay, let's talk about the other penalty. Let's talk about the other thing.
Well, yeah, so Cole Palmer did obviously win the penalty, take the penalty, put Chelsea ahead.
A little scuffle before that, which was pretty funny. Sterling wanted to take it, right?
Yeah. So, that was interesting. Although I was more just sort of like processing the fact that it was a penalty at the time.
Enzo was like he's like the gangster, he's like the.
Yeah, I was talking to Greg. I was actually talking to Greg, who's in chat right now. He was in there. We had the game on, but that obviously. So there was that, and then the next sort of controversial thing. I mean, it's not that big a deal because at the end of the day, it's over. But Sanchez, their goalkeeper, on Jesus, he came flying out, clattered into Jesus. I would compare it with the Onana incident, which the Pigmole came out and apologized for and said, well, should have had a penalty. I understand, I read earlier this evening that we can expect an apology in the next day or so from them because we should have had one as well.
Wait, did Pugmole apologize for the Onana one?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Oh, they did. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they said they got it wrong and Wolves should have had a penalty because, it's a foul, off the ball foul. But yes, they did.
Okay. And if they did, then yeah, never mind.
Yeah, 100% they did, yeah. A couple of days after. So rumor has it that a similar apology is coming. I think that was a foul and that should have been a penalty. I don't know how whether you agree or not, but if we're punishing people for things, I think clattering into someone's head should be considered a foul and a penalty.
Yeah, I haven't heard an explanation for why it wasn't a penalty yet. I'm curious because around the Onana time they were talking about goalkeepers have different rules or some crap, and I was like, I'm honestly ignorant about those rules, so I can't really make a call but since there was an apology for the Onana one, yeah, they should have awarded a penalty here. I'm not sure. Like, could you? Okay, this is gonna be right now. I'm taking the counter argument. Could you argue that Gabriel Jesus impeded Sanchez? Could you say that?
No, not if you watch it. I mean, watch it back.
I'm just saying, like, on a technicality.
He goes through his head, dude. It's pretty.
But he was going for the ball, and Jesus stops him from going to the ball almost. Like you could like. I'm not trying to. I'm just making a counter argument here. That's all. I don't necessarily believe this. Okay. I'm just thinking through what could be and what could have happened. I don't know.
I don't think one player going for the ball or running in his direction entitles any other player to come out and take your head off. There's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he obstructed him. It's not like Jesus got in front of the keeper and stopped. Like Jesus had no idea it was coming. I mean, it's a blindsided.
Could you say it's a coming together at that point?
No. I mean, not any.
Like, imagine two players running for the ball and they run into each other. Would you call that a foul on the person, on one of them?
If they're both looking at a different direction,
they're both looking at the ball.
Yeah, and you see that in football. Players do come together like that.
So couldn't this be kind of the same thing?
What did you think Onana's was? Because it's exactly the same.
No, I thought it was a penalty.
Okay, well then there you go.
Well, look, I'm making a counter argument. I'm not saying what I believe. I'm looking at the counter to what you're saying.
I mean, I just don't. I just don't think there is a counter to this. It's a foul.
Two people running for the ball, not looking at each other, run into each other. Is it a foul?
Not necessarily.
Okay, then this could somehow not necessarily be a foul, I guess.
But have you watched the clip? Because then you'll see that isn't what's happening in this case.
Gabriel Jesus runs in, and Raya jumps for the ball, and Raya hits
Sanchez.
Sanchez hits Gabriel in the with his hip or something.
Sanchez goes for the ball, right? Sure, but he goes through a player the same way that you can't tackle through a player, right? If you tackle through a player on the ground, it's a foul, right? If you go through a player to get the ball, it will be a foul. It's the same thing. He went through a player to get the ball. You can't do that. It's a foul.
Yeah.
I think it's well known. I don't think anybody is disputing that it should have been a penalty and a foul. But
no, I agree that it should be a foul. I'm just looking at what they could be looking at, that's all. Like, I hope you don't think I think it's not a foul. What I'm trying to convince myself is that it's not a foul because they called it wasn't a foul. I'm trying to see it through the lens of VAR and the refs. right? What possibly could they have been seeing? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is
I don't know
maybe
why
maybe
it
they're
wasn't,
saying they both did. Maybe for the goalkeeper, because he's allowed to jump for the ball, they have different rules on like the part of the body that can come into contact.
They had that conversation after the Onana incident, which was week 1 or 2 in the Prem, right? They had that conversation, and they're like, no, it's, you know, our goalkeepers, it's a different position. It's the most unique position on the pitch because there are 10 outfield players and there's 1 goalie, right? It is a unique position by default. So yes, there are things that goalies contend with and goalies deal with and goalies do that players cannot. But going through one and fouling them, like, bottom line, is it a foul? Yes. That's it. That's it. That's the line. Is it a foul? Yes. That there's nothing more to it.
Then what did VAR see? Then why didn't VAR call it? And
well,
that's where my
I don't work for VAR, mate, do I? You'd have to ask them.
I'm trying to solve the mystery myself, trying to look at the camera. That's all.
I mean, dude, there's 100 mysteries a week. We're never going to solve them. We have to wait for them. We have to wait for them to come out and apologize, and nothing more will happen. And that'll be.
I like riddles, you know. I'm a riddle fan. I like
gotcha.
Riddles, you know.
After that, obviously Mudryk, shades of R10. I put in my notes.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Did he mean it? What do you think? Personally, I laughed at Arteta's reaction. I thought it was kind of funny.
What did Arteta say?
I thought that was kind of. But, he just said that the reporter that was talking to him, you know, alluded to the fact that Mudryk meant it, and Arteta was like, "Oh, he meant it. Oh, well then credit to him." And he had like a smirk on his face. I just thought it was kind of funny. But either way, there's stories coming out that their goalkeeping coach identified that Raya leaves an opening and all the rest of it. I mean, I think the goal, I think it's a bit of a freak goal. I don't think I've seen enough from Mudryk to think that he's capable of doing that on purpose. But maybe I'm wrong. And maybe he's becoming more comfortable, and we're going to see Mudryk start to do things like that on a weekly basis. Who knows?
He did the Jude celebration at the end as well.
Well, I mean, he was right in front of their home end, so yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
I'm trying to think what would I do if I accidentally scored a goal like that. I might do a celebration like that, just like God has touched me, you know. Lucky, I got so lucky.
I think, yeah, I mean, given that it was against Arsenal and that's the team that was going to sign him, and there's that whole thing there, maybe that. I mean,
that's true.
But the celebration, none of that bothered me. I was more frustrated with the way we had played throughout the entirety of the first half, because I just thought we looked really out of sorts, sloppy passing, giving the ball away too easily. We didn't look up to the challenge, and Chelsea looked like they wanted it more.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, give it the pressing, the shape from Chelsea. I think it was Palmer and Gallagher at the top of a really like compact 4-4-2. I thought it was really, really good from Chelsea, to be honest. But yeah, obviously, from your perspective, seeing your team play like that is one thing, but Chelsea didn't make it easy, you know.
No, they didn't. But then second half obviously ended up being somewhat of a different story, and I think Arteta made some necessary changes fairly early on in the half, and it gave us that spark we needed to get back into the tie. And obviously a Chelsea mistake that led to Declan Rice pulling one back, which I thought it was a really cool finish, like
tough
totally
finish.
Chill, like just like bang, you know what I mean? There was no thinking about it. He just put it in the back of the net, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Very Xhaka-esque. No,
sure. But like just to have the, you know, at 2-0 down, the pressure's on, just to have the calmness to do that, I thought
huge goal.
Was
it's a
cool.
Huge goal.
Yeah,
massive.
It is,
because Chelsea, like I'm not gonna lie, I watched it yesterday after work, and I honestly fell asleep. I had watched Match of the Day, but I watched up until the Declan goal, and I just passed out literally in my chair watching. But I think I passed out because it looked so comfortable for Chelsea. Like it looked like it was just going to be a pretty much smooth sailing, 2-0 done. But that
in the first half, yes, yeah.
But even into the second half, it felt like Chelsea were just kind of just playing the ball around, going through the motions, just trying to see the game out. They were probably a little tired from all the pressing they've done. But that Jude goal, just bang, just like out of nowhere, brought Arsenal. I felt,
Well, I think
big.
Yes, that definitely helped. And then I think that may have even been the catalyst for what happened for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But I also think the changes he made really paid off. I thought he brought energy in players that haven't played. Havertz did obviously play, but Havertz coming on against his former team always should give you a little bit of an energy boost, a little bit of a boost in your game. I thought Trossard, Tomiyasu did well, and Nketiah did well when he came on. Smith Rowe I thought was good. I thought the subs really gave us that energy that we were missing in the first half. And like I said, look, I can see that Saka and Martinelli are not 100%. I'm watching them compared to, and that's not to take away from Chelsea, because they, like I said, they were very physical with both of those wide players in particular. Which you know that they're a threat, so you've got to do what you have to do to take them out of the game. But the Trossard equaliser, really nice cross as well. I thought that was great. Overall, I think come the end of the match, I think we deserved the point. I think we could have had a pen, as I say. No other decisions to question, because like I say, I do think in today's rules there was a penalty for Chelsea. I think we should have had a pen. I do believe that. Whether or not that would have been the winner, or whether Chelsea had another gear somewhere, I'm not sure. But once we got that first goal, we seemed to take over the game, the remainder of the game pretty much. So at the end of the day, a point, Stamford Bridge isn't the end of the world. We're 2 points back, sitting in third, obviously on goal difference behind City. So overall, I'm not too despondent about the result. I think
for me, it would have felt like a good point, like a good point. Just from obviously down. From before from 2-0 down, right? It's like, wow, okay, good. I mean, and the Declan goal came out of nowhere. It was just like, that's the type of luck you need, That's just like really that's good. That's good luck and good finish, obviously. But I thought it was a very difficult finish, to be honest.
For sure. I mean,
the ball wants to curve away from the net or away from the goal, right? Like past, and he did well to keep it, in the
players make mistakes, and you have to capitalize on those. And a lot of times we see my team, your team, whoever's team. Sometimes we talk about how we failed to capitalize on those minute chances, those minute moments. Declan getting that one, it was a catalyst for the rest of it. I felt like we were better in the second half anyway, but it definitely that got us going. And then I feel like if the game had been another 10 minutes longer, we might have won it anyway. It just had that feel about it at the end. But
and that's got to feel that's got to feel good for Chelsea fans as well. Like, they didn't lose that game. They were able to at least hang on for a point. Because that's a good result for Chelsea and good performance, as that's pretty
for sure.
Look,
we don't have to go too far back in history to know that Chelsea at their place would be a tough game, right? We don't have to go that far back. But they've been in
so
a rough
bad.
spot. They have. They've absolutely been in a rough spot for going on 2 years, I suppose now, right? Come the end of this season, again, I think the squad they have and the manager they have, I don't foresee them struggling.
They've got a lot of energy. A lot of energy. Lot of youthful energy. So they can play that high because their press was their pressing was pretty impressive.
We got questions. Weren't Arsenal fans saying they were going to walk all over Chelsea? Not those that know about football, Mordecai. No, I mean I just.
Oh, what's the question?
Weren't Arsenal fans saying they were going to walk all over Chelsea? I mean, I certainly didn't think that.
I mean, before the game,
Yeah.
I would have thought Arsenal would have won the game. I mean, just based on just whatever, just.
But I've been to so many London derbies over the years that I wouldn't go into a game against, like, if West Ham were like 18th in the league, I wouldn't go into that game expecting us to kill it. I
bet the bookmakers had Arsenal as favorites. Is all I'm saying.
Very, very, very possibly. I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Like from an outside perspective, you see Chelsea in whatever 11th place, Arsenal, fighting for title. Like you think Arsenal would win. I'm not saying it'd be comfortable or whatever by any means, but that I think that might be what he means. I don't know. Yeah, but it was good. Yeah, I was watching. Saka didn't seem 100%. Do you know any update on his injury? Is he's just trying to get back into fitness, or?
I was wondering about, is he playing through pain, injections, all that stuff, that you hear about players doing. I don't believe that he is. I just think it's I think he's such a prized asset to the club. I don't foresee Mikel Arteta, risking his future. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought, after going 2-0 down, I think it's a good point. I mean, but yeah, obviously you don't want to win, obviously, but
I mean, for sure. But again, I'll take a point of the bridge, especially from 2-0 down.
And you're near the top still. It's early. Match week 9.
9 games in. I was thinking about that earlier today. It's like this season is shaping up to be so good because there's been so much that's happened already, and we're 9. Yeah. I was like, shit, we're only 9 games in, and I feel like half a season's gone by. So that's
almost like a quarter of the season is done now or so, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, about a quarter, but yeah. I guess the only other talking point would be the Raya Ramsdale situation.
Oh, yes. Oh, no.
Again, for me, I still maintain, I think the media are loving it, and I think people are loving talking about it. I said to you guys before the international break, whatever their decision is, I trust Arteta. He's earned my trust. So if he believes Raya is the man, so be it. If he decides to drop Raya for Ramsdale, so be it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who he's going to play. The rumor is that Raya will start against Sevilla this week. The talk is the distribution he gives us has been better statistically. So I think that's what a lot of people saw in him, right? And they were when we brought him in. I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit already, but yeah, I don't think I don't think it needs to be anybody's fault or blame anyone. There's no one to blame right now. You can't tell me that your keeper has never had a bad game, and I'm not talking about you, Carl. I mean any person.
Right.
There's very few people that can say my goalie has never had a bad game. So Raya had a bad game. It happens. He made a couple of mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, at this juncture of the season, it isn't gonna, could it have cost us 2 points? Potentially, maybe not. Maybe Chelsea had enough to go and get a draw anyway in that game. So I see why everyone is wanting it to be this big thing. I don't see it as that, and all the noise I said to you before, all the noise coming out of the club is, I don't think they see it as this big conundrum either. It's just, whoever's playing better will get the nod. That's what I think.
Yeah, like I said last time we talked about this, I think whether it becomes a big thing or not is up to Ramsdale, really, right? If he believes that he deserves to be a title challenging goalkeeper, then we could have problems. But if he's able to swallow his pride and realize that his that's what I was saying last week. What I'm saying this week is I'm excited to see Ramsdale's next game, right? I'm excited to see him when he starts. Whether he gets to play with the first team or not is big too, right? Is he working on his distribution? Is he going to try some passes, right? Like it puts a little more pressure on that.
It does. I would like to point out to all the people asking why Arteta didn't sub him in the game, because he said he could. Ramsdale's wife had a baby at the weekend, and Ramsdale was in and out of the hospital for that. So I don't think, even if Arteta did consider doing that at some point in the past, which is what he said, just so we're all clear on that. He said, in the past, I've always wondered. That's what he said. I've wondered, why don't people do that? I could do that. I've thought about doing that. I've thought about revolutionizing that. He didn't say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that when a player has a bad game. You know what I mean? There's context to every conversation, and I'm listening to what he's saying, not what I think. So.
I thought he said he had regrets.
Yeah, he did say, because he regretted the fact that he didn't have the guts to do it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like,
yeah. That is
his
regret.
regret was that he didn't have the confidence in and belief in himself to go ahead and do it for fear of scrutiny or for fear of whatever, right? Because it doesn't happen. But I mean, he's
So
it's. I was thinking about this over the weekend. Sorry to cut you off, but like it's how I feel about change. Right, I'm not a big fan of change. Right, I like the rules, how they were, and I like this and I like that. I've typically I would always feel about the goalkeeper situation the same thing. Like you have your guy, and you have a backup, and that's it, right? And then when your guy gets hurt, your backup comes in, and you're basically admitting defeat on the season. Well, what if you didn't have to do that? Like it is an interesting thought to have.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Yeah, so the new information I got was Ramsdale just had a baby. Maybe that's why Raya was brought in, because they knew 9 months from now or earlier that Ramsdale's gonna have a kid. We're gonna have to look at a backup, and we don't know how Ramsdale, he's gonna be staying up late, blah blah blah, toothpaste, black stuff, what if this is what if they know that they can't rely on Matt Turner? We have to bring in somebody during this period of time where because goalie's a very high concentration, blah blah blah. I don't know. You never know. Maybe there's something. If we're gonna speculate about some big animosity between Ramsdale and Raya, maybe we can speculate on this. Maybe he's having a kid. Yeah. They're looking after the guy. He's a new father.
I don't think there is any animosity there. I think
no. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying maybe it's the baby.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just
maybe
he's having a baby.
I do think I said to you guys 2 weeks ago as well is that if Ramsdale decides this isn't what he wants to fight for a number one spot or whatever, and he can ask for a move, and I would wish him all the best. Like, I have nothing bad to say about him. I told you guys 2 weeks ago, I do not put the lack of title last year on him. Were there things he could do better in his game? Absolutely. But there's very few players in football who don't have things they can improve in their game.
Hey there, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider subscribing to the 91st Minute here on YouTube. Also, feel free to use the links in the description to follow us on all social media platforms.